This weekend is the big one. It is Chris Eubank Jr versus Conor Benn. We've been waiting a long time for this fight, and it's finally here. This is a bit of an unusual one for me because I do want to watch the fight, but equally I'm not that bothered about the fight. I don't think it's a big fight, really. I know Eddie Hearn has been building up Conor Benn for a long time, and he's wanted this fight for such a long time just to make money. Let's be honest, Eddie just wants to make money. But there's no real in-ring rivalry between Eubank Jr and Conor Benn. They're not in the same weight division, so there's no real beef of saying who's the best at the weight division here. It's fabricated to me. It's a fabricated fight. That said, obviously I'm going to watch it. I am still interested, but this is nowhere near the levels of Nigel Benn versus Chris Eubank Sr. It is nowhere near. The build-up has been pretty good, primarily because it's been a Chris Eubank masterclass, hasn't it? He has absolutely wiped the floor with everybody around him, whether that is Eddie Hearn, he's made him look like a mug, Piers Morgan, he's made him look like a mug, and Conor Benn, he's made him look like a mug about 50 times over. I don't necessarily agree with the egg smash, but it was pretty funny, to be honest, and that image of Conor Benn with egg on his face, it's never going to go away, is it? Ultimately, do I think any of this kind of pre-fight stuff is really going to count and make a difference on the night? Not really. I don't think it's going to affect Conor Benn in the slightest. Eubank is certainly 1-0 up on that front, but I don't think it's going to make a difference at all. In terms of the fight, well, Conor Benn is jumping up 2 weight divisions. Conor Benn's a difficult fighter to sort of gauge where he's at because he hasn't really beaten anybody of any note, certainly not an active fighter of any note. Obviously, his best win is Chris Algieri, who is pretty much retired. He didn't fight again after that, so that tells you where he was in his career. And Eubank is sort of a fringe world-level fighter. His best fights, I guess, he came to a close decision with Billy Joe Saunders, got beaten quite comfortably by George Groves, and he's been decked by Liam Smith. Liam Smith isn't a big hitter. He obviously beat Liam Smith in the rematch, so Eubank's been in there with some good fighters for sure. Whereas Conor Benn, you can't really say he has. If you were to go by cold, hard logic, Eubank wins this fight all day long. He's got more experience. It's at his weight, albeit with a rehydration clause, and he's been in with better fighters. So Conor Benn just doesn't have any of that. So if you were going on pure logic, you'd pick Eubank all day long. I think most people are picking Eubank. Conor is an interesting fighter. He's quite an exciting fighter. He's got that explosive ferociousness about him. He goes in for the kill. He is very, very exciting. And that's great, but he's largely been doing that against journeymen and nobodies. And actually, since he got popped for eating eggs, he hasn't knocked anyone out since then. So it's funny. Now he's not allowed to eat eggs in that capacity, 60 eggs a day or whatever it was. He hasn't been knocking anyone out. I still thought he looked pretty good against Pete Dobson. His movement was pretty good. His shots were pretty good. He won that fight easily. But Dobson largely dealt with his power without any problems at all. And Dobson isn't really anyone in boxing, is he? A lot of the early predictions are for a Eubank win, either on points or via a late stoppage. Everyone seems to think Conor Benn's going to come in for 4 rounds and go absolutely crazy, and it's going to be Eubank's job to stay out of his way, and then take control of the fight in the middle rounds and maybe stop Conor Benn a little bit later on. I don't know whether I see it that way or not. This is a really tough fight to call because we don't know anything about Conor Benn. I don't necessarily think that Eubank is at his best right now. I don't think against Zerameta it was his best fight. He looked a little bit clumsy. His defense wasn't great. He was throwing his uppercuts from miles away. And he does love an uppercut, but he was throwing them from so far out, missing a lot as well. I don't really like picking favourites in boxing every time, but I'm finding it very difficult to go against Eubank Jr in this fight. There's just not enough about Conor Benn, not enough for us to know to be able to comfortably predict him for the win. And I also think a Conor Benn win is pretty bad for boxing. And I'll say that about all of the kind of drugs cheats and I'm including Canelo, Tyson Fury. Who else has popped? Dillian White. I don't want to see any of those guys win. I really don't. It just makes a mockery of boxing if we're letting them fight and win. Ryan Garcia as well. Like, just get them out. Stick them on 4-year bans. Liam Cameron got 4 years for cocaine, and these guys taking all kinds of crap, and they're allowed to do whatever they want, which is just a joke to me. I'll be bold and I'll say I think Chris Eubank is going to knock Conor Benn out. I think he will stop him. Whether that is late, middle to late, I don't know. I think the size difference is going to have an impact. Jumping up 2 weight divisions when you're not even at British level and fighting an experienced fighter like Chris Eubank Jr. is a bit of a crazy one. I am expecting a little bit of controversy. I believe this is a 2-fight deal. I don't think this is just a 1-fight deal. I'm sure the rematch is already signed and is part of the contract anyway. So I'm expecting a little bit of controversy, because if it's a whitewash, if Eubank absolutely wipes the floor with Benn, what's the point in a rematch? Honestly, what is the point in a rematch? Let's say Eubank comfortably just outpoints him. It's a boxing masterclass and he wins 12 rounds to 0. You know, what would be the point in a rematch there? So I'm expecting something a bit dodgy in this fight. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win and why? Let me know in the comments.